Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a truly chilling legend from Kutch. It's a story with an eerie, supernatural premise that I think is absolutely fascinating. If you're intrigued by ancient lore, mysterious monuments, and stories of total radical transformation, you are going to be captivated by what we're unpacking today. We're looking at a physical site where history literally collides with a doomsday prophecy. So let's get right into this dark prophecy surrounding two very specific graves. Believe it or not, these tombs are allegedly bringing us closer to the apocalypse every single year. Local folklore strongly holds that the end of the Kali Yuga, which is essentially the end of the world as we know it, will be triggered at the exact moment these two physical structures touch. I mean, that is a massive apocalyptic weight placed on a single historical site, right? And this isn't some rapid, chaotic movement. It's a creeping, almost terrifyingly slow countdown. Taral's tomb is said to shift by merely the size of a single sesame seed every year, and Jaisal's tomb, it moves by the size of a barley grain. It is this incredibly slow, almost imperceptible march toward what locals call prale, or absolute doomsday, when they finally intersect. Now, this shrinking gap begs a pretty huge question. Who on earth is buried here to warrant such a terrifying legend? According to the elders in the area, there was once a time when the space between these graves was so vast that two fully loaded bullock carts could pass through side by side. Today, that gap has nearly vanished. To understand why this matters so much, we have to look at the people resting inside. Section 1. The Black Snake of Kutch. To really grasp this myth, we have to flash back to a time when Giles Jadeja was known by a truly terrifying nickname. He was a ruthless dacoit, a bandit who slaughtered innocents without a second thought. This guy was completely devoid of the fear of death and was famously known as the Black Snake of Kutch. He looted absolutely everything in his path, showing zero mercy. Not to animals, not to passing bridal processions, and shockingly, not even to his own sister and nephew. He operated with a chilling, absolute lack of humanity. When asked later in life to actually quantify his wrongdoings, Jaisal didn't give a normal number. He simply said he had committed as many sins as there are hairs on a human head. It's an uncountable volume of sins, and that sets him up as the ultimate villain of this story, a man you'd think was completely lost to darkness. So how does a guy like this cross paths with a spiritually powerful woman named Sati Chiral? Well, it all starts with a simple family taunt. Provoked by his sister-in-law mocking his bravery, Jaisal travels to Kathiawar to steal 3 legendary prizes: a famous mare, a prized sword, and Chiral herself. He is so utterly fearless that while hiding in the dark stables, he accidentally drives an iron peg completely through his own hand and doesn't make a single sound. When finally confronted, Chiral's husband, who is a man of profound spiritual elevation, shockingly just hands Chiral over to Jaisal with a smile. Section 2. Meeting Torel and the Storm. Jaisal seriously believed he was just stealing a wife, but their escape by sea changes his destiny entirely. Picture this. They're out on the ocean, and suddenly a massive, catastrophic storm violently attacks their small boat. Jaisal, the man who literally laughed at murder, is suddenly panicking. For the first time in his life, he is utterly terrified of drowning. Meanwhile, Torel, she is completely serene, sitting perfectly calm in the eye of this deadly storm. Right there, in the raging waters, Tara delivers a powerful ultimatum. She tells him directly to bring his sins into the light, promising the boat won't sink if he confesses every single one of his horrific crimes. It's a profound moment of spiritual intervention. The chaos of the storm outside was perfectly mirroring the violent chaos inside Jaisal's soul, and Taral was handing him a lifeline. And it's a complete 180. In an instant, the pure terror of the storm and the immense spiritual weight of Toral's presence just completely shatters his ego. As his uncountable sins flash before his eyes, the monster turns into a devoted disciple. He wept, he confessed every horrific deed, and realizing Toral was no ordinary woman, he begged her to accept him as her servant. Section 3. Atonement of Sins. Stepping out of the darkness is one thing, but proving your change to a deeply skeptical society, that's a whole different battle. In Anjar, Jaisal quietly washed clothes, silently taking insults from the very people he used to terrorize. One day, needing groceries to feed visiting saints, he asked a merchant named Sadir Seth for credit. The merchant maliciously demanded Toral in exchange. Toral actually went willingly, but the second Sadir Seth approached her, he was overwhelmed by this terrifying divine aura. He realized his massive mistake, repented on the spot, and instantly became a follower himself. Toril crushed his arrogance without even lifting a finger. Even after all that, local society still doubted Jaisal. They called him a hypocrite and essentially demanded a miracle. They challenged him to make a stone statue of Nundi, the sacred bull, eat actual grass. And through his newly found spiritual power, Jaisal miraculously did it. But the interesting thing is, instead of feeling victorious or vindicated, he just felt this profound detachment from the mortal world. He no longer felt tied to this life at all. So they seal their ultimate spiritual victory by taking Jivant Samavi, which means choosing to be entombed while still alive. It's a practice reserved only for highly realized saints. Jaisal went first. Toril, honoring their bond, took Samavi right next to him. And Sadir Seth? Carrying the heavy guilt of his past disrespect, he insisted his Samavi be placed outside, at the very spot where visitors leave their shoes, as a permanent act of humility. Section 4. Destruction or spiritual message. Which brings us back to today, and the ominous folklore about these creeping tombs. Whether you buy into the Doomsday myth or not, you absolutely have to look at the data from the devastating 2001 Gujarat earthquake. The surrounding area faced massive devastation, total structural failure, walls collapsing, everything ruined. But the Samadhi of Jaisal and Toril, completely intact, not a single scratch. For the locals, this was undeniable proof of the enduring spiritual power resting within those slowly moving graves. Look, it's super common for visitors to see the two tombs and mistake them for husband and wife, like some classic, tragic romance. Actually, scratch that. It's not a romance at all. The truth is much more profound. Toril was Jaisal's guru. She didn't destroy the black snake of Kutch with a sword. She dissolved his darkness with light. Jaisal won his greatest battle not by defeating others, but by defeating his own inner demons through her guidance. So I'll leave you with this to ponder. Will the physical meeting of these tombs literally trigger the end of the world? The stones shifting by a sesame seed or barley grain might be a stark warning of an impending apocalypse, or maybe it's a brilliant metaphor. A reminder that as time marches on, the massive gap between humanity's darkest impulses and its absolute highest spiritual potential can in fact be closed. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and definitely keep questioning the fascinating history around you.